Showed you the live pictures as it was happening yesterday. Up to 500 bicyclists gathering in Springfield to participate in the Ride to Remember. The event was started 14 years ago as a way to remember and honor first responders who died in the line of duty. Those cyclists embarked on a journey that spanned 70 miles, starting downtown and traveling as far as Hartford, Connecticut. Springfield Mayor Dominic Sarno told Western Mass News why this event is so important to him.
I cannot say enough about retired Springfield Police Sergeant Johnny Delaney. Head, heart, and gut and soul for this, in remembrance of the police officers, public safety officials who made the ultimate sacrifice to save other people's lives.
Mayor Sarno also added that the Ride to Remember has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout the years. Some riders from yesterday's event told us why they decided to participate in the challenge this year.
Just so that the family members know that, everybody still thinks about their loved ones that they've lost, and just to continue a tradition of everybody getting together and staying unified.
She went on to say that she encourages others to participate in next year's Ride to Remember.